Hello and welcome to Metra AVTech Tips. I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Welcome aboard. So this is the week before CEDIA.
Yes, it is.
And we're actually very excited about this because we are going.
Yeah, we're going.
Now, it's important to understand that whatever booth number we gave you coming up to this show is pretty much irrelevant, but that's fine because when you walk in the front door,
we're right there.
There we are.
Yep.
Now, I know some of you are thinking maybe not going. I'm here to tell you, Adam's been working on a secret project for almost 2 years.
Yeah, actually probably right at about 2 years.
And part of what is behind this curtain
yes,
is Adam's secret project.
Yep.
And Adam will be introducing his secret project at CEDIA.
Kind of. Let's put it this way. If you're going to CEDIA, appointment only. If you're going to CEDIA, track down our booth, and if you're interested in what it is, come ask me what it is, and I should be able to show it. It is worth the effort to hunt Adam down. Yes. So, yeah.
And we know that there's other stuff going on. Origin, Kaleidoscape, some others are going to be there.
Yep.
And the weather looks great in Indy next week.
Yeah. It looks like we're going to have...
Come on up and visit us. Guys, we need to support CEDIA.
Yeah,
we really do.
And honestly, because the CEDIA organization, it sounds like we're shilling for CEDIA right now, but truth be told, the CEDIA organization is fantastic, and it's a wealth of information, wealth of knowledge for everyone out in the field. They've helped us in many applications that we've worked on. You know, some of the people that have been on the show and joined us from CEDIA have certainly pointed us in directions for things we didn't know. Right, exactly. So, little bit of housekeeping left over for that then. Currently, we're at booth 3600 is the booth number, but like Brent said, walk in the front door, turn like 5 degrees to the left, and we're right there. We'll be the first thing you see when you walk in. Come check us out.
If you can't find us, you have one heck of a night the night before.
Which, hey, it's Indianapolis, right? I mean, what happens in Indianapolis stays in Indianapolis?
Actually, nothing happens in Indianapolis.
I was going to say it's Indianapolis,
not real hard,
right?
Yeah,
exactly. So, anyways, all that to say, come check us out. We're gonna have as much fun as we possibly can.
And actually, it's Adam's first CEDIA.
It is my first CEDIA, which
if for no other reason, come in there and say, "Hey, Adam." I'm going to get in trouble with HR for getting that close to what I am.
Yeah, exactly.
That happened last time.
Yeah. Other than that, other housekeeping, of course, like, share, subscribe, hit that little bell notification for today's video. Lets you know whenever we do go live, which, of course, is every Wednesday at 3 p.m.
Except next Wednesday.
It will go live next Wednesday. We won't be live. The video won't be live. However, we'll be uploading a video that will air at 3 p.m.
Adam and I will do some stuff at the show next week.
Yep.
Walk you through the booth, talk about what's going on.
Yep.
What we're not going to show you is Adam's secret new project.
Yeah, it's not public yet.
That is appointment only.
Yep, it's not public yet. But check us out for that video. And then I believe this Friday, I think we're still having our Friday show this Friday. We haven't picked out a product yet to talk about. However, I think it'll come to us during today's episode.
I don't think it's going to be a tough one.
Probably not. But with that being said, check out this Friday where we will go live again at 3 p.m. where we're going to talk about tech tips solutions. So, like as always, Wednesdays are where we talk about concepts and ideas and get good content out to you. Fridays are where we make the bosses happy. And we talk about our products specifically.
And how it works with Wednesday's topic.
Exactly.
Now, that ought to be intriguing next week because we got some interesting new items that we can talk about on the video next week.
Yep.
That are not Adam's secret project.
This is true, yeah. So we should be able to talk about those, and hopefully we'll be able to put those on our Friday show of next week, which will be pretty cool because we'll have like a show from the show floor. So if you are not going, it'll be sad to not see you there. But of course, check out the videos that we'll be uploading and launching next week as well.
And ask us what you want to see because Adam and I will have a little bit of time to talk to some other people that are there.
Yep.
Tell us what you would like to see.
Yep.
You know, look at the map and say, hey, how about going over and talking to these guys?
Yeah, go see if we can get an interview with somebody else. So, well, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. What do you say?
Well, I say today's topic is?
How to troubleshoot 103, tips, tricks, and tools.
Now, this is an interesting because you and I both have slightly different approaches to troubleshooting.
Yeah.
The old man and the young whippersnapper view.
Sure. Yeah. Well, like for instance, one of the main things is what direction do we travel in when we troubleshoot? Do you start at the source and go to the display, or do you go from the display to the source?
I prefer to go backwards.
Yeah.
Because honestly, and we've talked about this before, the very first thing I want to do, so I want to make sure the display actually works.
Right.
Because if I spend hours getting forward, and we've been down this road because we've had a panel die on us here.
Right. Yeah.
And after having multiple parts swapped out in the panel, it's still dead.
Now, I was talking to somebody else about this a little bit, and I guess at this point right now, what we need to do is kind of do a recap of how to, or what is troubleshooting. And just really quick, maybe not get into how to, because that'll come next, but a recap of what is troubleshooting. Well, troubleshooting is you have a problem, and you're going to shoot it.
Well, that's what large caliber handguns are for.
Yes, exactly. So, sorry. Troubleshooting really is just the simple matter, or the simple act of finding out where the problem is in an entire system and solving it. So you're going to walk, either from one direction to the other, or work backwards on that.
Preferably not from the middle out.
Now, I was actually speaking to somebody before on a tech call, and he had a good idea, and it actually worked out to where he doesn't work from the source to the display or from the display to the source. He works from easiest to most difficult.
Okay.
So, which was kind of interesting because he didn't take it from, okay, let's work in this direction. He took it from,
what's the easiest thing I can do?
What's the easiest thing that I can do right now? Well, rebooting this is probably the easiest thing that I can do right now, and I'm going to do that.
Step number one. In fact, if somebody calls us, the first thing we ask them to do,
in a lot of cases, is to reboot. Now, we are learning that in some cases we don't want to reboot until we find out what the problem is, and I want to talk about that a little bit more later on, where you and I discuss the differences between how you and I troubleshoot and how you guys out in the field troubleshoot.
I'm going to ask a simple question.
Okay.
How often do you fall prey of not doing the things that you tell people to do?
Constantly. It happens, but the thing is usually when I fall prey to that, it's because I'm in the thick of it.
Right, and exactly like the people that call us are.
Yes.
And we've said this before, but realize that what makes good tech support, aside from knowledge of the products, is the fact that we're not on the job site. Under the pressure, so we can look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, we don't have the consumer over our shoulder saying, what are you doing wrong? We don't have, the boss over our shoulder saying, get this job done so we can get paid. And so we're not in that position to where we have all that stuff happening.
And that helps us tremendously. Now, the fact that we take a lot of calls and we do this all day, every day,
does help also.
However, that doesn't mean we're perfect when we're out in the field.
Correct. Yeah. So I do want to have that conversation, because also you and I are also in the development side. We're looking for a way to create new tools that solve problems.
And sometimes we have to figure out how to create the problem in the lab to solve the problem.
Yes. So just a recap of what troubleshooting is. Troubleshooting, like I said, really is that first step of finding out where the problem is, or rather what the problem is, because you may know what the problem is, or you may know where the problem is.
Symptom.
Yeah, but you don't know where it is or what it is. So you need to find out where and what the problem is, because we may have a black screen. Okay, that's great. We know the problem is a black screen. The symptom is a black screen.
Yes.
But what is the source of that problem? What's the thing that's actually causing that problem?
And this is because we've both taken very similar calls on this from different reasons over the past couple of weeks. A number of calls.
Yeah.
I have probably sold a dozen AIO2s in the past week and a half, because that's
kind of been the go-to fix.
Right. And
that is the go-to fix.
Do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
Okay, then do this.
Right.
But my philosophy, and one of the very first things you ask, is where do you start?
Right.
The first thing I want to know is whether or not my display input is working correctly.
Right. So actually, let's get into that then. So how to troubleshoot is probably one of the biggest things, right? So for you start with the display and you work your way backwards. So the first thing you want to find out is the TV actually working?
And this is not always easy, because frequently it's mounted. You're on the job site alone.
Right.
And how, it may be an extender, maybe a fiber cable, how do you get back there?
Yeah.
I don't have a magic bullet answer for that one.
Right.
But there are a couple of things that we really, 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 really encourage you to take with you on the job site that we do not sell. And number one is
the Mi Box.
The Mi Box. Now, let's be honest, guys. This is not the world's greatest streaming device.
No.
It does not have the best picture. It's not IP controllable and all the fancy stuff. But what it really is an easy to power and connect source that you can put content into.
Yep.
So that when you go to a job site, Sir, do you have a 4K disc? Well, no.
Yep.
Or do you even know their sources are working correctly?
Right.
So with this, you plug this into the offending input.
Yes.
On the television, plug power into it, and use the remote that comes with it.
Yep.
And make sure that the input's actually working.
Yeah.
Don't just assume it is. We've been down that road here.
Right. Yeah, actually, right now, one of the reasons that we have this up here isn't just because of the CDA product that we're working on. It's also because the TV's not there. It's
gone.
It's gone. It's currently getting fixed.
6 months old.
And that was one of the things that we ran into ourselves, was that we needed to troubleshoot what was happening, because we showed up one morning, went to go plug something in, and because we were going to test a new product that we're potentially bringing into CDA, and we plugged it in and no picture, and we thought, wow,
we got a brand new product.
We got a brand new product that's broken. The factory sent us something that's broken.
So what do? Honestly,
yeah,
we plug in another source.
Right. And we still got a black picture. And we're like, okay, well, hold on a second. Now we need to find out we need to find out what's going on.
So now you start looking at cables.
Right.
Because typically what we will do, honestly, is we will plug this into the cable.
Yep.
This connected to the display, because generally that's the easiest thing to get to.
Right. Right.
So we got no picture. So the next thing we do is, Adam, grab another cable. Now, you guys don't see a lot, because this is legitimately a working lab.
Yeah.
You guys see the pretty part.
Well, and just outside of the camera's field of view is where all the mess is. What I used to have hanging here was all of our HDMI cables that we use for testing purposes. I now have them off camera over there.
And it's a giant pile.
It's a big pile, and the thing is that we'll go and just grab one off the pile and plug it in. And truth be told, we don't know if that cable is defective. It could be one that got sent back, the 1/10 of a fraction of a percent that actually came back as defective because we were testing it, and it made its way over there. So at that point we say, well, let's replace the cable,
right,
and see if it's that, right?
And so far it hasn't been, but the day's coming when it could be.
It could be, yeah.
So very first thing you want to do, in my opinion, is validate that the end of the line, whether it's a speaker, projector, or display,
right,
is functioning.
Right.
Now with the speaker, you do that with a battery.
Yep.
And a couple of conductors.
Just do a little popper.
Yeah, this little popper.
Yep.
But with the display, you have to connect something, and we really encourage you to use the Mi Box, My Box.
Mi Box.
Mi Box.
Yep. Or at least that's what I call it, anyways.
And once you have validated that, that the display is working, now we know we can start moving backwards to see where the problem is.
Right.
Now, do not assume that just because, okay, I got a picture, it drops out, I got a picture, it drops out, it's an EDAT or a handshake. Oh, it's a handshake problem. Well, it may not be. It could be a bad board.
Yeah.
It could be a bad cap. It could be a bad resistor. We saw 3 different boards go into this thing, and it wasn't any of those.
Yeah, power board, main board, and the LED board were all replaced, or the dimming board is what they call it. Were all replaced inside of the TV, and still didn't work. So wound up being the panel. Now, and here's the other thing. Here's the thing. If you've been in the industry for a while, or even not that long, I can say that your gut feeling is a really good thing to work off of.
It's a good place to start, because you've probably been there before.
So we had actually, let's use the TV as an example. We had a gentleman come out and actually replace the boards on it for us. So he's looking at it.
We were nerding out on this one.
It was great. But the point is that as he's looking at it, the first thing that he does, of course, is plug in the TV and see what happens. Well, when he did that, he saw what was happening, of course, that the backlight was turning on, but there was no picture on the screen. The little LED was blinking away like it's supposed to when you first powered on, all that kind of good stuff. But the thing is that he stopped and he said, it's not going to be the boards. It's going to be the panel. And that gut feeling, because the thing is that even though you may not remember that you've seen this before or something similar to that before, your gut remembers that you ran into this a problem similar to this, something in the back of your head saying, I need to look at this one a little bit closer because I don't think it's going to be there. I can honestly say that many times that I've been on the phone with people before where I've said, this feels like this type of problem. Do you have an AIO? Do you have a splitter? Do you have this on the truck? Go grab it for me, throw it in there and see what happens. And it's been that. Now, it's different for us here, of course, because we deal with these calls every single day, multiple times a day. But the truth be told is that you have too. Out in the field, you've seen problems similar to this before. Run with your gut feeling. Honestly, it's a good starting point to work on that. If you're not working from the TV back, if you get there and the first thing you see is this, and you're like, this problem looks like this. I'm going to try this really quick just to see what it is.
Because you've been there and done it.
Been there and done it. I'm going to do it. Hey, if it fixed it, fantastic. You just saved yourself an hour and a half worth of work. Collect your troubleshooting paycheck and walk out the door.
By the way, speaking of troubleshooting, and one of my least favorite parts of a call is, by the way, do you have blah on your truck? Oh yeah, I used that last week.
Or no, I've never had that on the truck.
Well, that one I understand.
Yeah.
It's I used it last week and I haven't reordered it yet.
Yeah.
Well, it fixed your problem, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it did. It was great. How do you not have it with you?
One of the things that we advocate for is a rolling inventory. You should have, and again, not everyone is set up this way. If you have an office or like a garage that you work out of, where all of your inventory is kept, I suggest keeping at least 2 extra of the AIO or the Junior or whatever it is, splitters, HDMI switches, adapters, the other little intricate pieces and stuff.
Silly things like splitters are actually repair tools.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Have two extra of those at the shop. That way you have 1 on the truck or 2 on the truck, and that way what you can do is you can use that 1 that's on the truck. Go ahead and put it on there. When you get back to the garage,
update your inventory.
Update your inventory in the truck. Put in the order for the new part, and that way you never run out. That way, in case by the time the order gets to you, it's been a week since you've ordered, but you've had to use 3 of your parts. You're already out of inventory. Instead of short on inventory, you had the inventory already. I'm a big fan of that. Steve Brett, that's a weird. Is that a phone number? Or are you typing numbers in there by accident? Anyways, he just put a random string of numbers in there in the chat. That reminds me.
How do we know he's not sending his hex?
I mean, he may be sending a hex code. That's possible. Actually, that reminds me. Everybody who's watching, if you have any questions about what we're talking about today with troubleshooting, leave it over in the chat section over here on this side. Or if you're watching this after the fact, you can leave it down in the comment section below. We do monitor those and respond to those as quick as we can. If you have just a comment about what you've run into out in the field before, have you run into troubleshooting steps or processes that you've kind of accumulated into your toolbox of things that you know to check first? Let us know what that is. What's the first thing that you go into? So, Brent.
You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
The first person that shows up at CD and says, you know what, I watch your show.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I watch your show.
Did you get approval for this?
No.
Okay.
Are
you giving yourself approval? Is that what this is?
I'm giving myself approval.
Okay. You heard it here first, folks.
We're going to get you guys one of our new Metra Tech or Metra AV, the nice button-down ones.
Yeah.
That's related to your new product that we haven't discussed yet.
Yeah. Okay.
The blue one.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice button-down shirt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The first person that comes in the booth and says, you know what, I watch your show.
Yep. Yeah. Do it.
We'll get your shirt ordered for whatever size you need to be.
Yep. That'll work. Yeah.
Because I want to know that somebody actually watches us.
Oh yeah, definitely. It helps us out. Okay, so let's go back to the troubleshooting. So you've worked your way from the display to the cable. We found out that it's not the cable. What's next, Brent? What are we into?
Here's where it gets a tad bit interesting.
Right.
Because let's take a not unusual call for us.
Sure.
We got a cable box. We got a TV, and works great till they turn it off at night. Come back the next day, it doesn't work again.
Yep.
Now, right up front, I'll tell you, you don't need to start at the display for this one.
No.
We're back to your gut feeling, because we've been down this road so many times.
Yep.
That, honestly, you should not have this problem, because we have told you this answer multiple times.
Let's do it for the new guys.
Let's talk about the AIO. Would you give me a top-down?
I sure will. Yeah. Now, what's interesting about this is with the AIO2, this piece here,
you're better at holding
you still have problems with that.
Yes, I do.
So the AIO2, and where Brent's going with this is, you turn the TV off and you go to bed, or the client goes to bed. They wake up in the morning, they turn everything on, and they're greeted with the black screen.
Or data out of range, or some other
no
bizarre
signal,
phrase.
something like that. Now, what's happening here is basically the cable box has gummed up the entire situation.
It's forgotten what it's doing.
Yeah. So, and what needs to happen then is we have to force that system to renegotiate to find out what it needs to send. It needs to reset.
It's effectively, the same thing they always tell you in IT. Did you power cycle it?
Right.
But power cycling your cable box is 15 minutes of your life.
Right. Now,
not acceptable.
Here's where you troubleshoot that particular problem. if you don't have an AIO2 there, or the client calls you up and tells you this is what happened, tell your client, next time it happens, don't touch anything except the HDMI cable going out of the cable box. Unplug the HDMI cable and plug it back in.
Don't have to wait. Don't have to. Nope. Not my usual 15 minutes.
Nope.
Just unplug it and plug it back in.
Yep. I mean, literally, it's even if they're able to do it in half a second, they need a metal. But have them unplug it and plug it right back in. They don't have to wait of any time whatsoever. It should start working. If it does, the fix is the AIO2. You throw that in there. You use the hot plug interrupt feature on it with the
Phoenix plug.
The Phoenix plug. Thank you. And what that's going to do is essentially the same thing as unplug the HDMI cable and plug it back in. That's basically the same thing.
This is assuming you have a control system, whether it's Crestron Control 4, URC, RTI, any of the other brands out there.
Yes.
If you do not have a control system, or you do not have an available relay on your control system.
Yes.
We have a product called the CS-IR Kit CC-US.
Yep.
Which I should have had out here. I'm sorry.
Well, I have to do everything apparently.
I know, apparently. Yeah. That will allow you to take any codes and open and close the relay, which will trigger the AIO2.
Right. Yeah. So AIO2, in those situations, that's how we fix that. Now, you bring up a good point here, because here's what's interesting about this. We talk about starting at the display and working backwards, or starting at the source and working forwards. However, it's not that simple, is it? It's not linear, right? We're not just going in one direction, because it branches off into multiple problems.
Right. Is it all the sources? Is it one of the sources?
Right.
And these are the questions when you guys call us.
Yeah.
The first thing we're going to ask you for is a list of your products.
Right.
You know, tell us what's on the job site, because there may be certain combinations that we just know is like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Or you tell us right away, and we're like, oh, that's a really quick setting change. We just change this one thing, and you're good to go.
And write all this stuff down before you call us, because it does help us tremendously and speeds up your time with us.
Yeah.
And our ability to help you. So, kind of what we're going with this originally was, when you walk onto a job site, you've taken over somebody else's job.
Yes.
You don't know a darn thing about what's there. You've never seen it before. You've never touched it. You've been called because the previous guy couldn't finish the job.
Yep.
And now the homeowner's desperate.
Yeah.
So you walk in and there's a panel, a rack, or a projector in a rack, and that's all you know.
Or worse yet, there's pre-installed cabling in the wall, and you don't know where everything is going. So,
or how it's going.
And that's that. Yeah, that's the point there. So when as long as you're not using RTI, I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it. I have. It's
2 weeks.
It's in the wheels.
Is it 2 weeks?
It's moving. Yeah. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. No, that's the experts.
4 weeks.
So, and Mammoth George is saying, geez, we are watching. Where's our shirt?
You got to be the first one at the booth at Cedia.
Tell you what, if you don't go to Cedia, if you go to Infocom, which I think we're still going to Infocom at this point in time. In Orlando. If you go there, maybe we can make the same thing happen there.
Ooh.
Right?
The first one that says, I watch it. Now, do not go to one of our sales guys.
No. Nope.
Because they're going to, what?
Look for Brent or look for me?
Yep. Obviously, the good-looking guy or the young guy.
Sure. If you say so.
Wow, that was a tremendous amount of conviction.
I'm just
You didn't buy into that at all, did you?
I put the same amount of effort into dealing with your comments as I put into this show. A great deal.
Why do I not believe you?
I don't know. Anyways, Cedia, what's that? It's actually a show that used to happen once a year. It was before the bad times. It was before the bad times. They would do it once a year. Moving on. Okay, so before we go into a takeover job, I want to talk about one specific thing really quick.
Okay.
And that's the differences between how you and I troubleshoot something and how the integrator out in the field troubleshoots something, because they need a paycheck, right? They're ready to finish the job.
They don't have the time frame you and I do here in the shop.
Right. So one of the things,
they're not milking it like you are.
Right. One of the things that we run into a lot, and if this has happened to you, I have to kind of apologize, because the mindset that Brent and I work off of is we want to troubleshoot something to find out specifically what's happening. We want to find out,
educate at the same time,
and educate at the same time, and find out specifically why it's happening, what's causing the problem, where is it, all these details. We want to find out about it because we want to make a new tool. We want to find out a way to fix the problem that's out there in the field, and so we find out specifically what's happening. That can be a little bit more involved than
time
just
consuming,
right?
Then what? And if you're under a time crunch, tell us.
Yeah. So here's the thing: when you're out in the field, what you may run into a lot is that, hey, I'm out here, I had to roll a truck, I don't want to spend any more time than I absolutely have to while I'm out here. What's the thing that I need to take with me to put into this job and make it work, right? Or what is the one thing that I need to do?
Keep on my truck.
And, or just do. What setting do I have to change? What do I need to look for? What's the thing that I need to do? What's out there? And the troubleshooting for those two things are slightly different. So, for instance, when you and I troubleshoot something with the client who has the time, we work from one end all the way through until we find the problem. And truth be told, we continue to work through after that because we want to find out what else is on the other side of that. And when we work through the problem, we find out, okay, what's the model numbers for everything? What's the infrastructure look like? How is everything terminated? Yada, 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 yada. Then we work through it and find out here's the problem. But we continue to work through it after that because we will find out if we came from the other side, what could we change from that side and work back to it from there.
Yeah, or is it the proverbial onion with more layers?
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing that we're doing at that point is we're actually trying to find out, again, like I said, specifics. We want to find out what exactly is causing it. Is it an EDID problem? Is it a low power problem? Is it an EDID and low power problem combined as one now?
And many problems are a cumulative error, not
right.
a single specific thing.
Right. Now, for you out in the field, you want to get there, say, hey, I see sparkles on that TV. Sparkles on the TV means I have a high-speed data loss problem. Is it HD-based-T? I need to re-terminate. Done. Move forward, re-terminate, move on. Or
at least the vast majority of the time.
The vast majority of the time. Or you go in there, you see sparkles on the TV, you know it's a passive HDMI cable, you throw in the GA1 or the GA2 on it, problem solved, you're out the door. Things like that. That's your type of troubleshooting. That when you're out in the field, you see a problem like that, that's your type of troubleshooting to get in there, get the job done, and get out of the way and collect a paycheck. That's honestly what it comes down to. Yeah. Now, and so, truth be told, there are differences in how we troubleshoot, and it's not necessarily the right way to troubleshoot or the wrong way to troubleshoot. It's just, what are you dealing with in that specific moment, right?
And a lot of troubleshooting for us, honestly, is to help educate you on what's happening so that the next time you see that problem,
yeah,
you already know what's going on. We don't want you to, I don't want somebody to just call and say, okay, what do I do? And I say, okay, you do this, this, and this, without them understanding why I'm saying that.
Right.
Because if they understand what's going on, they can kind of build in preemptive measures for that from the beginning of the job. I
would almost go as far as to say, and this is going to sound a little rude with how I'm putting it, but I would almost say that when you call me on tech support, by the end of that phone call, I never want to hear from you again.
At least about that.
At least about that, yeah. And that's kind of the point that we're trying to make.
The goal is right to educate you so that, okay, I've seen this. Now, do not feel bad because a lot of times the first time happens, you think of it as a fluke, you move on, it happens again, you don't automatically connect the dots.
Sure.
I promise you, it happens to us.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and you'll hang up the phone and suddenly oh crap, I had that call 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's been many times where I've taken a call or you've taken a call and we say, hang on, something's not right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go track down let me go track down Brent. Let me go track down Stuart. And we ask them and find out, oh, duh, that was the thing that we dealt with just a little bit ago. It's just this. And you get back on the phone. Hey, you got a splitter on the truck. Throw it in there. Problem solved. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, again, I would love to say there's a perfect answer to everything.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't.
No.
Things are generally, the AIO is generally the answer, and it generally is
the
answer.
Agree.
But not always.
Mm-hmm.
There are jobs where it just doesn't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I took a call this morning. Guy had an older, one of the early 4K projectors.
Yep.
Modern Pre-Pro and modern sources. And it was just not always syncing up unless they power cycled the projector. Doing the AIO test, removing the cable and plugging back in, did not fix the problem.
Right.
So I said, well, can you put a controlled outlet there? Sure, because they have oversee.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. here's what you're going to do. You're going to put a controlled outlet in there. Every time they turn the system off, you're going to delay 10 minutes to make sure that 4K projector runs its fan down.
Yep.
Turn off the power, and you don't turn the power back on until you're ready to watch something. Now, does this mean I sold the guy something?
No.
I didn't.
No.
But
and in fact, you sent him to our competitor. But
we are not sales.
Yeah. We want to solve a problem.
Our job is to solve your problem and get you out the door, and hopefully you remember us. Now, at the same time, we talked about, okay, when you go to when you update the other gear and you go to a real projector to 18 gig, how long's your cable? Well, it's this. Okay, then you are going to need the GA1 to do that.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And I would, the AIO was not the fix on that job.
No. But the thing is that that's what we're working towards, is finding that specific thing. So, Brent, let's go ahead and get into the takeover job.
Oh, those can be great money or great misery.
And here's the thing with the takeover job. There's different types of takeovers. You can take over from a coworker who has either moved on to another position or something else, and so you're coming in after them to finish the job, or there's a troubleshooting thing that you're coming in to do that. You can have takeover jobs where you are specifically the troubleshooting technician. Maybe you're in a higher, you've got the installers, then you've got technicians that come in and solve problems. And so most of the times that something like that happens, you're working off of, this is a cookie cutter situation. We're going to put this in here, and there's a weird problem, so you're going to step in and do something like that. Then you have the takeover jobs where you've got some fly-by-night integrator who has put a system in and left everything a mess and disappeared. And so they collected their money, they're gone, and for some reason their cell phone doesn't work anymore. So you get called in to look at that job, and you realize, I have no idea what's going on here in this moment. There's nothing. There are no labels on anything. Don't say anything. There's just a mess of wires. Don't say anything.
Are they cut too short?
They're cut like right at the wall. Don't say anything.
Now, and we joke about this a lot, but Adam and I do have completely different processes for installations. And I'm here to tell you, those two processes cannot coexist at the labor stage.
Sure, yeah.
They can't.
Yeah.
One guy has to do it all, or the other guy has to do it all. And since I'm lazy,
I'm doing it all, apparently.
You're doing it all.
So, how do you troubleshoot in those situations?
Well, it's interesting because we have both walked in behind the other to find problems.
Right.
You more on the networking side for me, although I have solved. Did you check for conflicting addresses?
Yeah. I'm laughing at a comment.
Okay. Share it with me.
It's just a name, and you wouldn't understand the name. It's actually an inside joke. It's Matavina.
Is that a job you did for somebody else?
It's a job that I'm currently working on, and actually I'm going there tonight to continue to work on.
I know who sent that then.
Yeah. So the fun part about all of the stuff that we run into with all of this, when it comes to a takeover job, so
documentation.
And here's the problem that I have seen. You don't want to be the HVAC technician that says, oh yeah, this is wrong, that's wrong, it's going to be, $6,000 to go ahead and fix this. When all that needed to happen was the air filter needed to be changed out, right? You don't want to be that guy. Maybe you do want to be that guy. That's entirely up to your business model and how you do things. However, in my mind, it's always one of those things where you show up and it's okay, we'll do this. You show up to this job that you have no idea what it is. The client called you up and said, hey, I had a guy install it. He's no longer in the industry, and I unfortunately can't get in touch with him, and here's what's happening. I turn on this system, and I don't see a picture.
What's the first thing you ask?
Well, I don't know. What do you ask?
Did you ever see a picture?
Okay, there you go. How long has the system been in place?
Did it work?
Yeah.
Because if it did work, the probability of it being an infrastructure problem, I'm not talking electronics, just basic infrastructure, drops dramatically.
Yeah.
If it never worked, that probability increases.
Yeah.
But let's say it worked. How long did it work? Adam, Mr. Rogers.
Sure.
How long did this system work in your house?
This has been working for about 5 years.
Okay. has anything changed? Has the cable company been to your house? Have you upgraded the Wi-Fi? Has your son or one of his friends added any gaming consoles or anything to it?
It's like you're speaking from personal experience.
Well, we both know the customer that we both work for. And number two son has disconnected stuff and plugged stuff in, and it's not working. It's like, I get there, it's like, why the hell is this not working? Where did...
Now, okay, so in these cases, yes, you ask them, how long has it been working? Oh, well, it's been working for 5 years. Okay, what's the symptom of, that's happening? Well, usually they've already told you what the problem is. I don't get a picture. I turn the system on and I don't see anything.
Well, okay, that's what they say. But that could also be batteries in the remotes.
Right.
I've driven from Orlando to Tampa to change batteries in a remote.
Yep.
And I know you've done the same.
Yep.
So it's the fact that what they see is what they think they see doesn't mean that's what they see.
Yep. So, and that's where you kind of have to play doctor, but not like that. Not that kind of play doctor.
Creepy,
I'm making sure to be clear about something here. Okay, I'm just making sure. No, anyways, you have to play, doctor in the situation where you have to diagnose what's going on. So part of that is, okay, when you pick up the remote and you hit the button in it and you do this, are there any lights on the remote itself? Do they light up and do anything? Well, they used to. Okay, do me a favor. I'm gonna take a look at my calendar. While I'm doing that, could you go ahead and do me a favor? Swap out the batteries in that remote for me and just try it one more time. Put it back in the charger, whatever it is. Try it one more time and see what happens. While I'm gonna pull up my calendar while you're doing that, because what you're doing is you're disarming them in that situation because it's kind of embarrassing to have the problem of the remotes, out of batteries
and charging them for
doing that. So, hey, do me a favor. While I'm doing this, would you replace those batteries? Whatever it is, and see if that fixes it. Guess what? If it fixes it and you didn't, make them upset because you asked them to do that, and instead you're just disarming them by saying you're going to do something else while they do that, a lot of times they're going to remember that and they're going to call you back when there is an actual problem.
Or ready to buy something and spend money.
Right. So from there, the next part is, okay, yeah, the remote does light up. Everything's working fine there, and when I hit this here, the TV light, blinks when I hit the button, and that part of it takes over. Yeah, make sure the batteries are in the right direction. Run into that one before. It's Roku remotes where both batteries are pointed in the same direction. Whereas every other remote
are not.
They're flipped or whatever, but Roku had a series where they both went in the same direction. Just was baffling to me. So, anyways, so you found out that everything's fine there on the remote itself. And
just out of absolute curiosity, how many times have you gone with the little credit card remotes and they hadn't pulled the cellophane out of it?
Not as much, because usually I hide those. I don't usually leave those ones out. But that's if it's my job, of course. So. And again, we go back to the thing, how long has it worked? Has it worked for 5 years? Has it never worked?
And
if it's never worked...
That statement right there tells you a lot.
Yeah. So, once we've done that, what's next?
Well, you've kind of got to validate, and particularly if you're troubleshooting your job and they owe you any money, it's never, ever worked comes up a lot, even though you sat there with them and went through every button and showed them how it worked. Oh, it never worked.
Right. Right.
But that's not today's episode.
No.
That's just frustration.
Yeah.
So, when did it work? When did it not work? And again, we're back to, we have to know, has anybody else been in the job since it last worked?
Yep.
Now, well, no, nobody's been here. When was the job installed? Oh, I don't know, 15 years ago. And there's an Xbox One or something like that. It's like, well, no, that's not...
That's not 15. Yeah. That's new. Ish.
Are you sure?
Yeah, pretty sure. Or better yet, the opposite direction. Oh yeah, this was only installed 2 years ago, and you get there and everything is from at least 15 years old.
Sir, was this moved from another house?
That's a very real possibility as well. So, it was the SR260 for Control 4 that has batteries in the same direction on that one. I forgot about that. You're right. Okay, so. When you have a call for a takeover job, before you even get to the job, what in your mind should be on your truck specifically? Let's put aside the fact that every other job should have probably most of these things on the truck. What specifically do you take with you for a takeover job?
You're certainly throwing me a vague question.
Mm-hmm.
Things that go with me regardless of my job. I bring, hopefully I know what the control system is.
Sure.
And if it's a Crestron, an RTI, or URC, or Control 4, I try to have that program in my laptop.
Mm-hmm.
I have a volt ohm meter.
Mm-hmm.
I have fresh batteries.
Yep.
Because, by golly, it happens.
Yep.
I carry our basic troubleshooting tools, and I also carry extra cables. And I'm not talking just HDMI cables. If they're using any kind of outboard device like an Amazon, for example, I have had a lot of the Sonos Stereo Mini to RCA cables not work.
Yep.
They're crap.
Yep. Yep.
They're just garbage.
Yeah.
So basic stereo cables, Stereo Mini to RCA cables, because there's still a lot of that out there. IR emitters. Because in a lot of cases, if something, it used to work, but now it doesn't change channels.
Cleaning lady knocked the IR emitter off. And run into that before.
Yeah.
So.
Are the little covers, because tape just looks tacky.
So the things that I'm going to take with me to a job that I've never been to, that's not mine from the beginning, right? And I need to find out what's going on. I'm going to bring my tone generator and my wand. I'm going to bring a 32-inch to a 24-inch TV.
Okay.
And the reason that it's a 32-inch to 24-inch is because you can still get a 22 or a 24 to a 32-inch TV in 4K with ARC. I found it online on Amazon for $350.
Whose is it? Was it an off-brand?
Ooh, no, it was a Philips. No. Toshiba.
Toshiba?
It was a Toshiba. It was a Toshiba TV. It's got apps built into it. It's got ARC. It's 4K. So it's got an HDMI 2.0 input.
We need to put that link on the website.
So it's like $350. It might be a little bit more, a little bit less.
That's a cheap diagnostic tool.
But here, that's the thing. And the thing is that they usually come in a box anyways.
With the handle on it.
Keep that box, keep the hand, keep everything with it. Have the styrofoam right there in it, because that's your carry case for that tool. It's a tool. Take a TV with you. Take a source. I'm going to have a source with me. Now, here's what's interesting about this source also is that this isn't just HDMI. This also has a 3.5 analog audio output on it, because you don't know what you're getting into. You don't know if it's a distributed audio system where you need an analog audio sound or an analog audio source. Guess what? Your Mi Box has that. Don't rely on your cell phone, because a lot of cell phones don't have headphone jacks anymore.
No.
So don't rely on that. Have this in your box specifically set aside for that. And your phone might be dead. So bring this with you.
Pandora or Spotify account already on it.
Yeah, go ahead and sign into it. Have it all set up and everything before you get out there to the job site. Have your phone ready to be a hotspot so that you don't have to worry about getting onto the client's internet service. Just go ahead and have it basically built and ready to go as a troubleshooting tool. That way you don't have to mess with it.
And Adam has some great ideas on video content, particularly the bunny thing.
Yeah, Big Buck Bunny has multiple resolutions of the same video. So they released it in like 480, 720, 1080p, 4K, and I believe someone is working on re-rendering it at an 8K resolution.
Wow.
Right. So it's out there, it's available to use. Now, of course, this isn't going to play 8K because it's not an 8K streaming device, but for 4K content, it's great for that. And you can store the content on this itself. It has internal storage.
You don't need the USBs.
Don't need a USB stick for it. So that way everything's there and ready and available for you to use.
You can also put some music on it so you don't have to worry about streaming.
That's right. So now the experts had a good point. Now, the point that I wanted to make with the Amazon TV that I found is that it's cheap. Being a cheap person who has to work with cheap tools sometimes, it's great, because for $350, that's still, it's still a decent price for a tool.
It's a full 4K rendering machine.
Right, something that I'm going to use in
HDCP
a lot of
the
jobs.
Requirements.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the experts make a good point. Fox and Hound.
Yes.
Now, this is the Meridio 6G and 6A, which they did update recently. Reach out, find them on their website, the Meridio website.
They're also at Cedia.
They're also at Cedia.
teaching ISF classes.
Now, specifically, they have a Fox and Hound that's slightly different than this, but it's the same idea. And the great thing about these is that
green.
It is green. It's got HDMI out on one and HDMI in on the other, and it tests the cables. It has a testing procedure that it runs through and actually makes sure that the cables work, which is fantastic because you plug this on one end, you plug the other one on the other side, you turn it on, you run the test on it. Does the cable pass? Yep, great. Now we know it's not the cable's problem. Well,
you still could be fighting some EDATE compatibility.
Yes.
Because the fact that it passes, we're an industry of standards that are not standard.
Yeah, exactly. They're suggestions.
On a good day.
It's like the speed limit on I-4.
Except through downtown Orlando when it's actually slower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But when you're looking at EDATE and HDMI failures, even if it passes there, because of cumulative fail points, the fact that the cable's good doesn't mean that changing the cable won't actually solve the problem.
Right.
Because it's how much headroom based on the other equipment in the system.
Right.
I would love to say, look, the cable passes, it's perfect. It should work. Well, we know better.
Yeah. I'm actually also going to say the tone generator and the wand are more powerful than you actually know. And here's where I'm going with this. The tone generator and the wand usually have like the alligator clips on it, and you put it on two sides of a speaker wire or an RJ45, and you plug it in and you take your wand and you go find the other side to it. Now, what if you have a coax connection? What if you have one that doesn't have the RJ45 plug on it or jack on it, so you need to do something else? Build yourself additional tools for your tone generator. Build yourself, like take a piece of coax, terminate it, on the other side of it, strip
bit
it.
Of solder goes a long way.
Yeah, make the connections on the other side so that you can actually create your own connection on that piece and screw it into it and do your check that way.
The tone generators, the wand is also excellent for looking for 60 cycle interference on your cables.
Yes. Yep. You can find out if a device is actually on in that case. And a lot of, take the wand, turn it on, turn up the volume a little bit, run it near some power, and you're going to hear something going off. It's kind of cool, actually. You can hear like Wi-Fi signal. If you walk up to a Wi-Fi access point with that, you can hear it tick, 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 as the Wi-Fi is communicating.
So you know it's working.
Well, the Wi-Fi
it's
working. Transmitting anyways.
Yeah, whether or not it's getting input's another story.
Yeah. So when you go to a takeover job, these are some things that you should take with you. Not, of course we have our, first aid kit that you should take with you, of course, with all of our stuff.
If you don't have it, contact your sales guy because it is a lifesaver.
It really, and it's going to have pretty much all of our fix-it tools that we have available now: the AIO2, the GA1, the GA2, the surge protector, the JR3, as well as I think we have the EDID blocker in there as well.
And there's a couple of other things I recommend. This is the 3.5 MMBO.
MMBO.
MMBO. 3.5 millimeter breakout.
Mike Bravo Oscar.
This is a stereo 3.5 millimeter plug with screw terminals for the breakout.
Right.
I love this because I can use it for testing IR systems, serial, sending audio from one point to another, so you're not having to cut a wire and strip it.
Right.
This is a great tool, and these are inexpensive.
Yep.
Have that in your kit because sometimes you just need the ability to get into something.
Right. Now, I would also take this a step further, and I would say that it's not just the jobs that you are taking over from someone else, it's the jobs that you're taking over from yourself from years ago.
Why did I do that? I'm sure that wire had a reason. What the hell was it?
Why did I, the experts know about this because we called them about this the other day. A job site that, it is a takeover job, but the thing is that when it's a takeover job that the person who did the original job was still a phone call away. And the thing is that why was it done that way? Why, there was, I've got a wire here. Why can't I find the wire? Okay, it's a blue wire on this side and it's a white wire on that side. There's a disconnect in there somewhere. Where's the disconnect? We got it solved and we figured out what it is. But the truth be told, unless you've done a favor to your future self and you've kept a catalog of all the information of what's happening on the job site.
And did you do that?
No, of course not.
Just thought I'd ask.
I know. I'm just saying. You want to take this stuff with you to that job site because. Wait, why did I do that? It's real. It happens.
And the why can be mere weeks.
It was 15 years ago. I know it was 15 years ago, but that's the point. It was 15 years ago.
And it's the thing that... It could be weeks.
It could be hours in some cases for certain things.
Particularly in programming.
Yes. And I will say that even within minutes, if you have a little bit of ADHD built in a little bit, you go in there, you design something, you did something, and you go and work on the next part of the project, and you come back and you realize, why did I do that? Why did I do it that way? I just did it 15 minutes ago. Why did I do it that way? Now, that's a little bit of ADHD kicking in, but the point is that
it happens.
It happens with programming, with wiring, with anything like that.
Flowcharts are incredibly important. You've got to have, in your toolkit, you have got to have a notepad and a writing utensil.
I think I've already disposed of it because I took a picture of it as well. I think I've got it on my phone somewhere. For the CEDIA show booth, I designed the one of the panels at the show booth and all the layout and everything else. I worked on a couple of the other ones, but I designed the panel and all the wiring and everything else that would be going along with it. I ordered all the parts. It took like 2.5 weeks for all the parts to get in here. They came in. I'm looking at the parts and I'm thinking to myself, what did I do? How did I have this designed? What's going on here at this point? Flowcharts are your friend, because luckily I still had my flowchart and I was able to go back and look at it and realize.
And as a restaurant programmer, flowcharts are absolutely critical
for programming. Yeah, for sure.
But it's the same thing with the job site.
Yeah.
Looking at matrices, every input, and you and I've had this discussion.
Yeah.
I want to know what every number of every input is.
Yep.
What is this output? Where does it go?
Yep.
Why is it going there?
Yep. Yep. So you begin to when you start troubleshooting someone else's job, you really begin to learn about that person and how they operate and certain things that they do. And you learn their tics and routines and whatever else. The good and the bad. There's many things that I've taken over from someone else, and I'm not gesturing to you because of that. I'm just gesturing in general. That I've taken over, and I'm like,
I pity the fool that has to come in behind me.
There's a fantastic reason that you did this. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure that there's a fantastic reason that you've done this.
Oh, way back, the very first job I met you on.
Yeah.
In South Daytona?
Ponce Inlet.
Ponce Inlet.
Yep. Well, South Daytona. Yeah.
And looking at that, and I knew you had a plan. I did not understand the plan.
No.
But that did not make the plan wrong.
Now, to be fair, that was not mine. That was also a takeover job for me because of a previous employee.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was something that it was that was the first job that you and I met on.
Yes.
I was there. I was looking at it and thought, well, I got to figure out what's going on here. So I asked the boss for a little bit more time. Be like, hey, I know that this is a really good customer of ours, and I think it's worth it because I'm new and I'm taking over this job. I think it's worth it for me to go ahead and take a little bit of extra time to actually find out what's going on. It's up to you on how you want to do this and how you want to approach it with the customer, but it would be good for us to go ahead and do this and take over correctly what's happening. Go ahead, take some extra time if you can for your client, because at this point, if you're taking over a job from someone who's from a different company or whatever else it is, they may have a bad taste, they may have problems or whatever's going on. You are at this point in time trying to win them as a customer.
To be an ambassador for the industry.
Exactly. You want to get in there, take the extra time and say, hey, here's what's going on. I found that this is the symptom of what's happening. This is what's causing that problem. And if you don't mind, I'd like to take a little bit more time and just go over your entire system. Because I now found this as a problem, I'd like to see if it's also in other areas, how you spin that to your client, whether you bill them for that time above and beyond what you've already billed them for the normal troubleshooting of whatever the problem was, or if you're just going to say, hey, pay me for the time that I spent to fix this part, and the rest of it, remember that I'm here when another problem happens, or if you want to do some kind of updates or upgrades to your system. It's worth it, honestly, because you are now the person that they're calling. You solved their problem, for one.
And you might have a better idea what to do next time around.
Exactly, because you're going to take notes and documentation of what you found. You're going to say, hey, I'm going to bring my label maker with me to that job because of that simple fact. I'm going to go there and I'm going to say, okay, let's say you don't have a label maker. You've got your Sharpie. Bring a Sharpie. Bring something with you to notate what's going on in that job. It's best to bring a label maker because the Sharpie's going to wear off eventually. But the thing is that if you can take over that job, that's one of the tools that I bring with me, or you should bring with you, is a label maker and a marker to be able to say, this is this line here from this side to this side.
At the very least, I go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy the 5-pack of colored electrical tape.
Yeah.
And I use the heck out of that.
Yeah, it's worth it. And it's one of those things where even if you're only labeling the wires that you are specifically messing with for that one problem, hey, guess what? At least that one's labeled.
You know where it is.
The next time you get a call in and it's another problem somewhere else, guess what? That's one less wire and cable that you have to mess with.
And what I do is, like on my sources, let's say a DirecTV or a cable box, the power cord, the HDMI cable, the coax cable, and emitter cables are all labeled with the same color.
Right.
So I know that everything to that is yellow, red, green, blue, or some combination.
Huh. It's almost like we put that into some of our product that we have.
Yeah.
It's almost like we did that with our Vlog stuff.
On our cables?
On our cables. It's almost like we did that on purpose, huh? That's interesting.
And I would love to take credit for that one, but that was all Miss Crab.
Yep, yes it was. Miss Jessie Crab, thank you for that.
That was an awesome idea.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the little jewels that we have on the cables themselves. So
I would love to claim it, but I can't.
Well, Brent, we are at an hour. I think we've pretty well exhausted this year's episode of Troubleshooting.
We'll get back to this one in 104.
It'll happen. It'll happen again.
Remember, next week will be pre-recorded, but from the floor.
Yep.
At CEDIA 2021.
As much as we possibly can, because of course, even though there's not as many people going to CEDIA, we may not have internet service. So if we don't, we're going to watch the comments and watch the chat. So if you have questions, still leave it in there and we'll try to get back to you as quick as we can. Do me a favor, leave your comments in the comment section of that episode. And we'll make sure to notate that in the episode as well. But all that to say, everybody, thank you for checking out today's episode on Troubleshooting 103, tips, tricks, and tools.
Ooh, you thought heavy on that one.
I did. Like I said, I put the same amount of energy and time into dealing with your comments as I do with this show.
That hurts me.
Did you believe that one at least?
No, and it still hurts me.
Okay.
Nonetheless, join us at CEDIA if possible.
Yep.
We'd love to see you there. And remember, the first one that shows up and says, I watch your show, we'll order you a shirt in whatever size you want.
Sure.
Shirt.
We'll get a Shirley
Adam and
shirt.
I will both be there. He'll be working. I'll just be looking pretty.
We'll get a shirt. We'll get a shirt for Shirley.
We'll both be there. He'll be working. I'll be looking pretty. We'll be in Indy Sunday through Saturday, I think.
We will be there.
But it's
correct.
the show.
Yes. The show is, of course, Wednesday,
Thursday, and Friday till noon.
Friday till noon. We're going to be there getting the booth set up from Sunday until the day after, so Saturday. So Sunday, yep, you're right, Sunday to Saturday. So, if you're in the area and you're a dealer and you're watching our show,
give us a call.
Maybe we can go
because our Ring Central number forwards to our cell phones.
Yes, it does. Yep. So
normally that would be on the TV that's behind us that currently is not behind us.
See it down below here on the screen. 386-492-8584 is the tech support line.
And they can patch it through to us.
You can get patched into us directly on that as well. So everybody, thank you for checking out today's episode. If we've given you some good information, hit that little like button.
If you got a great idea, share it with us.
Yep.
And your friends.
Yep. And hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to get reminded whenever we do go live, which of course is every Wednesday and Friday at 3 p.m.
I'm Brent.
I'm Adam.
Reboot early.
Reboot often.
Don't cut your wires too short.
Turn off CEC.
Except for eARC.
Except for eARC.
And
call tech support.
Call tech support. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.